Hello, my name is Sean, and I'll be doing a tutorial on polyhedral mazes. So, what I'm going to do is start with one. We'll start with this one. This is pretty simple to follow. So, the object of course, polyhedral maze is to go from the number that you're currently on, which is on the left, to the number on the right, which is our goal number. Now, of course, there are 14 different types of mazes. So, because of that, you're going to need some special identification to figure out which maze that you're currently on. For this one, this looks like, yes, this looks like this one right here. So we're on 44. So it's 44 is right here, and we need to go to 26. 26 being right there. So, what we can usually do, well, if you know your right triangles, which is a triangle with a 90-degree angle in it, you have three different sides. First, you have the very short side, as you can see by the very short side here. The longer side, which I'll call long, and finally the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is always going to be to the opposite of this right angle that makes up the triangle. So we're going to take long, short, so let's see, long, short, that's going to be hypotenuse, and then long, so we're on 24, hypotenuse, long, like that, and that's a solve module. Now of course, since it's a maze, you can't hit any of the black borders here. So that's how you would solve one maze, is using the short, long, and hypotenuse using a right angle triangle. But what I'm going to teach you is a system that's been developed here. So we're going to start with this one right here, this brown one. And the identification of this one is, I usually say, okay, I got the teardrops, because it kind of looks like a pixelated teardrop and whatnot. And it's basically a pentagon that looks like an teardrop. So it'll be reference to this one. We gotta find, we're on 51. I can do control find 51. Go back here. 51's right here. And we need to go to 48. Usually it's not that far off. There it is. There's 48. So, usually from this point on, we would go from a number. We usually go towards an arrow. Alright? But then we're going to use this arrow as our reference point. So, we want to go, okay, we do want to go, how about, there's a J, what's it, H and G? If H and G, we have it down there. I don't know if I want to go all the way around there. So how about we go towards 1? So first we gotta get back to 51, which is right here. This is 50 up here. So next we have to go to 1. I know this is 50, so I need to go 1, 2 counterclockwise, right there, to go to 1. Now I know this is 50. Well, 51 up there, because that's where I've been. And this is 1. So now to get to 0, you need to go 1, 2 counterclockwise, okay, to go to 0. Next, okay, I know that's 1. I need to go 1 clockwise to go to 4. Okay. Then I need to go another 1 clockwise to go to 3. Then from that 3, I need to go 1, 2 counterclockwise to go to 23. There we go. Next, we gotta go, let's see, from 3, 1, 2 counterclockwise. Yeah, 1, 2 counterclockwise to go to 44. Alright, so using this as our next reference point, we're going to go from 44, we need to go to 45, so 1, 2 counterclockwise. So going that way, this should lead me to 40. Which it does. Okay, then all you have to do is go 1, 2 clockwise to go to 49. And then finally get to 48, we need to go from 41, 2 clockwise to finally go to 48. And that's another solved module. Alright, so each module is a different shape, which I'm going to show you right now. All of its shapes. Right? First we have this shape, the 4 truncated deltoidal Icosahedron. I'm sorry if I pronounce any of this wrong. So that would be our first one right here. It will consist of heptagons and squares. As you can see by this image here, it will be heptagons and just squares. It would look something like closely to this, and this will be this maze right here. Next is the chamfered dodecahedron. Excuse me. Chamfered dodecahedron, which will consist of pentagons and hexagons, which will be in this format right here. So this is it. Next, we have the chamfer icosahedron, which is right here, which will consist of triangles, well, equilateral triangles, and kind of some weird of squashed down hexagons, which is, you can see definitely right here. Next, give me a second here, we have the Deltoidal Hexecontahedron, which is right here. And there will be 4 modules that will kind of look like. We have this one here, and this one here. Mainly the most difference is how they're combined. So for the Deltoidal Hexecontahedron, you'll kind of see more like a pentagram. You'll see a bunch of squares, and each square will equal one of these, not pentagram, the pentagons. It kind of forms this weird pentagon shape. This will definitely be the Deltoidal Hexecontahedron. Next will be the Disdyakis Dodecahedron, which is mostly made up of right angle triangles, which is fairly easy to spot right here. Next will be the joint Rhombicuboctahedron. So that'll be this one. So for this one, it's a little bit harder to read on this one. It kind of makes, I don't know. This is by far the hardest one to know. But one of the cool things is you'll always start on a space with no walls attached to either side. So if you say, okay, I have a bunch of squares and my starting number is this, such as 22, 22 on the joint Rhombicuboctahedron doesn't have any walls, as opposed to the 22 on here, if I can find it. Right here does have 2 walls, and the 22 on this one, if I can find it again, right here has 3 walls. So it couldn't be any of those. So it would have to be the joint Rhombicuboctahedron. Next, we have the joint Snub cube, which is this. And this one, I can definitely see, like, if you take a part of it, you can see an actual 3D cube that looks like it's facing you. The other side, it would be right here. This kind of looks like another cube. And mostly, I've been looking for this weird, oddly shaped square that kind of looks in the center here and whatnot. But mostly, if I've seen something that has like that represents a cube in any state, it's definitely the joint Snub cube. Now, it'll tell me the difference between this one and this one that has mostly consists of square sets into pentagons, and this one, which I don't have a clear definition of how to do so. Next is our canonical rectified snub cube, which will consist of 3 different shapes: a pentagon, a square, and a triangle. Which there will be another similar shape to this. This one will have similar shapes to down here, but there's a major, huge difference between this and definitely this. As you can see, everything kind of looks random, and mostly you look at the pentagon and you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4 triangles attached to it, which mostly gives you, okay, it's the pentagons with 4 triangles usually attached to it. That'll be the canonical rectified snub cube. Next, we have the Pentagonal Hexecontahedron, which is what I call the teardrops, because it's basically a bunch of pointy pentagons, but it looks like kind of like little teardrops that's just pixelated and whatnot. Very easy to look at. Next, we have the Orthokis Propello cube, which will consist of squares and triangles. Well, more or less, I think they're called isosceles triangles. Or I would like to more like call them right triangles, because there's a sense there's a right angle right here and whatnot. But for further clarification, the triangles will form this type of X marks box type thing, which will give you, okay, this is definitely the Orthokis Propello cube. Next, we have the Pentakis Dodecahedron, which will consist of just triangles. And they will form either a pentagon like this, or if you look at this side, a hexagon. It'll kind of look like that, and that'll give you the big clue, okay, I just only have triangles, and they're basically all the same shape, making pentagons and hexagons, and it's like, okay, it's a Pentakis Dodecahedron. As opposed to the other one, which was the Disdyakis Dodecahedron, which all you see was a bunch of right angle triangles, which I can find right here, which of course it looks obvious, and there's another set of triangles, which I'll get to in a second. So, next, yeah, we're on the Rectified Rhombicuboctahedron. So, that'll be this ginormous thing right here, which will consist of just squares and triangles, yet again. But this time, let's see. Did I ever cover squares and just squares and triangles? Well, this one does, but this one usually has like the boxes, like the X box here. This one, the triangles are kind of spread out in a cross formation and going outwards and whatnot. So they're not closed in, it's more like spread out. So, which will lead you to, okay, it's definitely the Rectified Rhombicuboctahedron. Next, we have the Rhombicosahedron. Again, excuse me if I'm pronouncing any of these wrong. And you notice you'll see a pentagon, a square, and a triangle. Well, what other pattern had that? Well, that'll be this one over here, except it's not really as random. This one looks a little bit more unified. You'll see a pattern of squares and triangles on the outskirts of the pentagon, rather than just being formed randomly together, making this kind of look like a pendant shape, I like to call it. It's kind of like some weird pendant shape. Next up, I think, yep, this is the final one, which is the Triakis Icosahedron, or icosahedron. Now, it won't be as obvious. Of course, you'll see a bunch of very lengthy triangles and whatnot. But the other thing is, these triangles make up kind of like a star shape. you'll see right here. Or here, as a matter of fact. You kind of see like a star here. Which kind of looks cool in nature and whatnot. And that will give you a clue. Okay, it's the Triakis Icosahedron. And that's all the shapes you have to know. So, diffuser and expert, try and practice how on a way. Of course, obviously, this is the only heptagon in square. This is the only pentagon in hexagon. This is the only triangles with switched out hexagons. The 3 squares, as I noticed before, this one makes kind of like a 3D cube. This one makes a pentagon shaped with all the squares. And this one is the hardest to tell. You can do whatever with it. But I think one of the ones is it kind of makes one of those other big wide squares. Not really sure, but it's the hardest one. But of course, you can always use the numbers as a way to figure out which shape you're on. Then this one is basically your squares, pentagons, and triangles all formed randomly, while the other one is formed like a pendant shape. This one has the teardrop pentagons. This one has the kind of Xbox triangle shapes with the squares and whatnot. These ones are just straight up equilateral triangles making hexagons and pentagons. This one with the squares and triangles here are kind of more like outbursts instead of having those X box squares. This one's more like cross-shaped and goes outwards. Again, this one's more like the amulet shape of pentagons, squares, and triangles. And finally, these ones kind of make like the very lengthy triangles that basically form little stars on the module itself. So, using that information, let's go to another module that we have not seen before. That one is the same thing. Let's go for this one, because this will be our joint rhombic... No, not our joint. Our deltoidal hexecontahedron. And we're going to start out on 50... Actually, let's refresh here. Clear the board here. We're going to start out on 57, if I can find it. If not, I can just simply... Control F. 57's right there. And 21 is down there. So, how does expert and diffuser usually communicate? Well, you know, as diffuser, all the arrows will not get you to a wall, at least on your starting spot. So you can move freely. So I'm on 57. I'm going to press an arrow. And that will lead me to another number, which is 15. And I use this arrow as my reference point, because I know this one's 57, and I went to 15. So, doing that, I know the line that I crossed is this line. And I'm trying to go down to 21. So, I would go, let's see. Actually, I can go up. So what I can do is, using this here, I would go 1, 2 clockwise or 1, 2 counterclockwise, or the later term would be across. So using this arrow as a reference point as the line here, I would say, okay, go across. Well, using this line here as a reference point, I say, okay, across or opposite or anything you like to call it. So this should bring me to E, and E wraps around all the way to here, so we'll be heading to 19 if we go down here. Now I'm going to use this arrow as my reference point. So we know we just crossed this line right here, and we need to go to 47, so I would say, okay, go across again. Using this as my reference point here, I would say, okay, go 1 clockwise. It looks like I'm going clockwise because I'm going to go, this is my reference point. I gotta go 1 clockwise, which is going to be right here, to go to 5. This is my reference arrow now. So this is 5. I just crossed this plane. I need to go 1 counterclockwise from there. So 1 counterclockwise to 6, be right here. using this as my next reference arrow here. So I know I crossed this line here. I need to go one clockwise. No, excuse me. One counterclockwise to go across this border. So I need to go one counterclockwise, which is up here, to go to 6 or 46. So knowing this reference point is 6 here, to cross this border here, I need to go one clockwise to go to this line, which crosses me to 21. So going from here to here, that's one clockwise, go to here, that's a solved module. And that's how usually general diffuser expert. Usually he would say, okay, I can use as reference points here. So let's look at a module first. And let's actually grab a Notepad Plus to get our reference sheet here. So let's do our weird little friend here of the triangles and squash down hexagons, which is going to be this thing right here. So with this one, I'm at 41. I need to reach 31. And I'm heading to 24. So I gotta find 41. Let's see. This is our, yeah, that arrow right there is our it. So this down arrow. So we gotta have 41 here. Right here, we went to 24. So using this reference point, we need to get to 31. 31 being quite a ways away, I'm guessing. Yeah, right over there. Which I'm not too excited about. So I would say, okay. Here I say across because it is directly across. So it's either 3 clockwise or 3 counterclockwise. So I'll do 3 clockwise. Then from here, going to here, I need to do 1 clockwise. One clockwise to get to here. Then I need to do a cross, so I'll do another 3 clockwise, which brings me over here. And let's go down, so we're going to go 1 clockwise. So going from here, let's go 1, 2 counterclockwise. Yeah. Okay, so 2 counterclockwise will reach me here. This is our new entrance point. Now we gotta go 1 counterclockwise to reach to 21. So 1 counterclockwise to reach 21, and then got 1, 2 counterclockwise to reach 40. So 2 counterclockwise. Then from here, we need to do give me a second. I'm trying to think. So this is our reference point. We need to do 1 clockwise. So 1 clockwise to go back there. So this is my reference node right here. Now I need to go 1, 2 clockwise. Okay, so 2 clockwise. Then this is my reference, so I need to go another 2 clockwise. Go from here. So reference point here. I need to go 1 clockwise and then across. So 1 clockwise and then 3 clockwise. Alright, so starting from here, let me tap back in here. So 3 clockwise, 1, 2, 3. 1 clockwise. Then 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 clockwise. Then 1 clockwise. Then 2 counterclockwise. Then 1 counterclockwise. Then 2 counterclockwise. And then 1 clockwise. Then 2 clockwise. Let's see here. Then 2 clockwise again. Then 1 clockwise. And then 3 clockwise, which is basically saying right here. And we're done. So, using this method of using the previous arrow as a way of as a reference arrow to see how much clockwise and counterclockwise we have to go to the arrow that we need to go next is an easy way of doing it. So, I hope all of you. We did that. Yeah. So, I hope all of you enjoy this tutorial. Also, if at any point you get lost and whatnot, you can hit the reset button and it takes you back to the home page. And notice when you get strikes, it doesn't reset the module whatsoever. So, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Until then, keep talking and don't explode.